Okay, good morning. We're going to be starting in chapter 4 for legal research and writing. So, this is your book, Legal Research and Writing for Paralegals. You should already have this book. This is the book that we use for basic legal research. So, Keith, I think you're my only student in this class, and so I'm going to sort of tailor this class to you and pick up where we left off in the first legal research class. We're going to start with chapter 4 of the text, which is case law and judicial opinions. You should still have your Westlaw login information. Please make sure that you still have that information and that you're able to get into Westlaw. We're going to be using Westlaw a lot this semester. This semester is all about learning how to hone your legal research skills and then how to take those research skills and put them into formats that make you the most marketable as a paralegal. Okay? So we're going to start with chapter 4. And what this chapter does is gives you samples of what you would find in a non-digital library. When I say that, what I mean is Westlaw is a digital library. You go into that library through your computer. But it really is a regular library. Now, I know I'm old school and I love books, and I don't know how many people even go to the library anymore. Most of the people I see at the library are my age. But books, the way that the books are laid out is helpful in understanding what is in the digital library. Because if you don't understand what you're looking at, how is it helpful? Okay? So in your book, on page 112, figure 4-1, there's a sample of a published case. And we're going to use this sample in going through all the different parts of a written opinion. Now, when I say written opinion, what do you think I mean? Okay, it's written. Duh. Opinion. Opinion of whom? Well, remember that we have 3 levels to the federal judiciary that are pretty much mirrored in the state judiciary. So when I talk about federal courts, the trial court is the district court. And remember that there are districts, up to 4 districts in every state, and they're divided by north, south, east, and west. Those are trial courts. You generally won't get a written opinion out of a trial court. Occasionally you will, but not very often. And why is that? Well, because you're having trials. And trial courts really just sort of referee the evidence going before a jury. So occasionally a trial judge will write an opinion about maybe a motion that was filed. And it'll be such a unique issue or something that the judge really thinks needs to make its way into publication, and so they'll submit it for publication. But typically, district courts, trial courts, don't write opinions. They referee trials. Okay? And when I say referee, what I mean is they make sure the right evidence comes in, they make sure that witness testimony is appropriated within the rules of evidence, make sure that the parties are doing what they need to do using the rules of civil procedure or criminal procedure. That's it. Okay? Now, if you lose at the district court, the trial court, you automatically get to go to the Court of Appeals. And in the federal system, remember that's called the Circuit Court of Appeals. And remember that the country is set up in such a way and divided up into circuits. It could be 2 or 3 states put together depending on the size of the states. We are in the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals here in Ohio. So if I lose at district court, I'm going to go to the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals in Cincinnati, and I'm going to appear before a panel of judges. Those judges, I could pick 3, 5, or the entire panel of appellate judges to hear my argument as to why the trial court, the district court, screwed up. Well, how is that panel of judges going to tell me whether I win or lose? They're going to write an opinion. They're going to write an opinion. And a majority of the judges on the panel that have heard my arguments, remember, in the Court of Appeals, we don't put on a whole new trial. It's really just the lawyer standing in front of a panel of judges saying, this is what I think the trial court did wrong. And those judges have an opportunity to ask questions of that attorney. And when it's all over, they get together and they decide whether I win or lose. And they do that by a majority. If there's 3 judges hearing my case, then 2 of the 3, at a minimum, have to decide whether I did it right or wrong. And how do they do that? They write an opinion. Okay, there's a saying in the law that the court only speaks through its written orders and opinions, right? Even if a judge sitting on a panel when I was giving my argument in the Court of Appeals and the Circuit Court of Appeals said, you know, Diane, I think you're right, that means nothing. Only when there is a written opinion that is filed with the clerk's office that basically says I'm right, am I right? Okay? So that's what an opinion is. It is the written decision, usually of an appellate court. By the way, the same thing happens in the U.S. Supreme Court, right? Where if I lose at the Circuit Court of Appeals, I'll say, hey, Supreme Court, could you please? And if they say yes, because they don't have to take my case, then a panel of 9 justices will hear me tell them, hey, this is why they screwed up. This is why I should have won. And then they will get together and a majority of them will write the opinion of the court. That is an opinion. Okay? It is the opinion of the court. It's how the court speaks. It doesn't matter what a judge says from the bench. It's got to be written down and it's got to be filed. Okay? So how do we get these opinions? Well, they are compiled in books called reporters. Now, when I say books, there are physical reporters, right? And there are digital reporters. And those reporters you will find in Westlaw. So if we're talking about federal reporters, if there is a decision that comes from a district court, it will be recorded and reported, excuse me, in a reporter called Federal Supplement or FedSup. If it is a Circuit Court of Appeals decision, that opinion will be reported in a reporter called the Federal Reporter. Spoiler alert, lawyers are not creative people. It's called the Federal Reporter because these are federal appellate decisions that are being reported. It's really that simple. And if it's a U.S. Supreme Court decision or opinion, it is going to be reported in U.S. reporters. That's it. It's really that simple. Now, those are the official reporters for federal courts. Now, West, which is a publishing company, they also produce Westlaw, will also publish these decisions, but they are not your primary reporters. Okay, West will publish decisions regionally so that I don't have to read through every decision in a federal reporter to find something from Ohio West will put together just Ohio cases for me. It's one way that they sort of cornered the market on making legal research a lot easier. For that reason, official reporters hate them. It just is. And for that reason, most lawyers use West reporters. Now, another thing that West reporters do, other than make it convenient because I don't have to buy a whole big library, I can just look in my region of the world, is they organize the decisions and make a digest of cases that have similar issues. So how do they do that? They have what are called key numbers. Again, we're not very creative. Why do they call them key numbers? Because that key can unlock the door to every case that's ever been decided dealing with that one issue. What West has done is created a system where they take a topic and subtopics within it and do the work for you. So if I'm looking for cases on dog bites, I'm going to look for a key number on dog bites. If I'm going to look for dog bites for people walking down the street, there will be a separate key number. If I'm looking for dog bites in a home, I'm going to look at a different key number. What West has done is read the case, picked out the issues, assigned that issue to a key number. So when I'm doing research, if I find that key number, all I have to do in Westlaw is type in that key number, and every case that has ever been decided that West has categorized under that key number shows up. That makes life pretty easy when you're doing research. The key is you got to find the right key number, and sometimes that takes a little bit of work. Okay? So we have these opinions. We have the official reporter. Then we have West reporters with the key number system. Okay? This book, in its sample, uses a West format of reporting the case. So there are key numbers. It is a regional reporter. It's a southeastern reporter. And we're going to go through the breakdown of all the different components of an opinion. So I'm on page 112 of my book. Now, as I remember, you have 8th edition. If you do not have the 8th edition of this book, then it might be on a different page number, but it is figure 4-1. Okay? So the case name is the very first thing that you see. Okay? Underneath that will be the docket number. That is the number that the court assigned to this particular case. Under that will be the deciding court. In this sample, it is the Court of Appeals of North Carolina. So this is a state case, not a federal case. How do I know that? Court of Appeals of North Carolina. If this were a federal case, first of all, it wouldn't be in the Southeastern Reporter. It would be in a different reporter, but it would say Circuit Court of Appeals, right? Because that's what the appellate court in the federal system is called. So this is a state case that they've pulled from North Carolina, and the date of the decision goes underneath that. Then there will be a case summary or synopsis. This is invaluable. I don't have to read a 15-page case unless that synopsis sort of hints to me that there might be something good in there for me. So there is a case summary or synopsis. In Ohio, we call that a syllabus of the court. That is the official decision of the court, but it is in short form. Okay? And then you'll see under that, head notes. These are our key numbers. This is the editorial work that West Publishing has done for you. Before you even read the case, we're not even to the opinion of the case. Okay, you already have a summary of it, and now you have the editorial work that's been done by West, kind of pulling out the hot topics that are in this case. So criminal law, key number 1044.2, paren 2. Okay? And what they do is they cite the exact language. They pull language from the opinion and put it in there so that you can see that specific part of the case, the language of the opinion that they think, as the editors of West, fits into that key number. Now, there doesn't have to be just one key number per case. Lots of issues come up in cases. So if you look at number 2, there's another key number there. Conspiracy, key number, is that 47 or 17? I don't have my glasses on. Whatever, in 12 in parentheses. Okay? Again, the editors from West have lifted language from the opinion and that they think fits into that conspiracy key number and put it in there so that you can read it. Okay? And then there's a sentencing and punishment key number. And they lift the language and put it there. So in this case, there are 3 key numbers that the editors think some of the language fits, so that other people who are doing research might say, hey, I'm looking for a conspiracy case. And they punch in this key number, and State versus Boyd is going to show up. And then they can read about it and see whether that's what they want to research or not. Okay? After those key numbers, there's going to be the names of the attorneys that handled the case. And then you'll see in all caps the last name of the judge who actually wrote the opinion. Okay? The way this works is they get together, they sort of say, thumbs up, thumbs down, what do you think? And one judge will be assigned to the duty of writing a draft opinion. That draft opinion is then circulated amongst all the other judges. Maybe they make changes, maybe they say, I can't really go with that. There's a lot of back and forth, but ultimately one judge will write the opinion. So in this case, it's Judge Wynn. And then you get the opinion, right? And in the opinion, the court will say why they are ruling the way they are. They are actually obligated to do that. They can't just say, hey, we like their shoes. They have to tell you specifically what they're relying upon in making their decision. What they will sometimes do is pull from other cases that they think are similar or persuasive. And they'll say, hey, you know what? In this case, the court decided this case that had similar facts this way. Therefore, we think we're going to follow that and we are going to rule similarly. Or conversely, the court may say, you know, there's this case out there. We don't think it has anything to do with what this particular case is about, and so we're going to rule the opposite direction from this other case. Okay? So within an opinion, you will see the court rely upon or cite other cases. Sometimes when you're researching, a good thing to do is pull those cases and read them yourself. Maybe you agree with the court's decision or don't, but it gives you some kind of a background when you're doing research. Okay? The last thing, and you turn on page 114, is whether or not they agree with what happened in the court below, in the trial court, or not. In this case, they said no error. And that means the trial court didn't mess up. Okay? Underneath that, it says Judges Timmons, Goodson, and Elmore concur. Judges, it has to be a majority of the judges that agree with the opinion in order for the opinion to stand. Judges can concur, and that means, we agree with it. We don't exactly agree with how they got there, but we agree with the end result. Or they can dissent. And that means we have no idea why they came up with this decision, and this is why I think it's wrong. And judges do dissenting opinions. After the majority opinion, another judge could write an entire opinion saying why they think the majority was wrong. That happens all the time. All the time. Does a dissent mean anything? Nope. Doesn't mean anything. Somebody just kind of blowing off steam. But they're allowed to do it. So if you see a dissenting opinion, that's what it's there for. Okay? All right. Now, there are memorandum decisions. I'm not really going to worry about that. We've talked about where cases are published. And actually, we have talked about this the last time you had this class, but you had a semester break, so I wanted to make sure we got through this. I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to put it on Blackboard too, but I'm going to ask you to do numbers 1 through 10 of the assignment for Chapter 4 that are on page 157. So it says assignment for Chapter 4. There are 15 questions. I only want you to do 1 through 10. Okay? Each one will be worth 1 point. They're completion points. Okay? Use Westlaw. Use your Westlaw to answer these questions. Okay? Turn them in on Blackboard, and that will be your grade for this week for this class. Okay? If you have any questions, please email me. And hopefully I'll see you soon. Thanks.